I wasn't playing with that. Hey, what's up guys, this is Random264 back again with another video for you guys, and today I'm here talking about some of my favorite action figures, because action figures are so awesome. All you need is a couple action figures and your imagination, and it can just run wild. So I love action figures, and I wanted to talk about some of my favorite action figures that I own. So let's get right into it. Top 5 best and top 5 worst. But before we begin this video, I just wanted to say, these two won't count because that one's modded, and that one I would consider more of an RC and less than an action figure toy. And I won't be counting bootlegs because they're not officially licensed by the copyright holder, and they are obviously of lesser quality. So, on with the video. So, for 5th best, I have the Siege mode, or Siege line of Transformers Optimus Prime. I mean, this to me is the ultimate Optimus Prime. It's a modern G1 design that looks really good. And it comes with his axe, the focus. There we go. The design itself looks spectacular. I like the Cybertronian mode, or kind of overall look to it. I think it looks like a great Transformer, and I do not think the Earth version looks any better. And this is what it looks like in robot mode, and the articulation's amazing in my personal opinion. I mean, I'm not gonna claim that's a Figma, but it's really good. I mean, especially compared to somebody who pretty much grew up with a G1 Optimus Prime and is very used to that blocky, no movable legs. To this is just it's awesome, and it's a great price. I picked it up for 20 bucks, and this is what it looks like in car mode. So it takes a little while to get into its vehicle mode, but I think the vehicle mode looks very unique. It stands out between a lot of the G1 Optimus Primes in my personal opinion, and I think it looks nice. Very unique design. Not my favorite transformation in the world, but I think it looks nice. It even has a kind of working door right there. Oh, yeah. So, anyways, moving on to the next one. So this is the 5th worst. I know that sounds weird coming from me because I'm a huge Star Wars fan, but the reason it's number 5 is I'm gonna give it some credit because the foot's kind of broken, and this is, Hasbro's words are, this is one of the best Darth Vader. The Black Series are some of the best Star Wars figures, and you can just barely hold his lightsaber in. And I mean, and his foot is broken, and it's just, the figures, I don't know if it's because of the heat or because I took and the cape that it came with was like this. It was very fabricy, and the thing was huge. I could wrap them up in it, but I just ditched that thing, and the figure just, I mean, it looks nice, but it can't really stand all that well, and I can't really hold the weapon all that well in my personal opinion. I mean, look how wobbly that is. Moving on. Alright, hands down, 4th. This Gundam is by Robot Denvishi Ver Anime Review. Basically, it's a extremely accurate and very posable version of the RX-78 Gundam, and it comes with one of the many accessories is this curved beam saber blade, and this figure is awesome. The articulation is off the chain. As we can see, I currently have it in this pose. It does not come with the Figma stand that it's currently sitting on. It's got butterfly joints to lock in the arms like that, and you can have it back. The articulation, the detail is just honestly spectacular. My only real complaint with it is there aren't any engines that are sticking out of the Gundam like how there should be. However, there are effect parts that you can put in there. And another complaint is it doesn't really hold the shield very well, but overall I think this is a great figure, and if you're a fan of Gundam, I highly recommend it. It's quite small compared to other model kits apparently, but I think this is the perfect size for action figure, so I highly recommend it. Alright, so moving on to the fourth worst figure that I own. This is the McFarlane Doom guy, and that is the coolest stance I can get the figure in. It's a brick, and you know how the Darth Vader can't really hold his weapon? Yeah. And you can't get into a cool pose holding the super shotgun, and I glued in the blade, and there's just no my ultimate issue with this thing is there just isn't any articulation. I mean, you can't get the cannon or the launcher in there really well. I mean, it's got a nice head, but it's just, the feet have no pivot at all, so you can't pivot the foot. It's just a Doom guy brick. Might as well just be frozen in carbonite. Anyways, moving on. This is hands down the best Master Chief figure there is. Now, one can argue that some of the premium Master Chief collector figurines have more articulation or better accessories or a better paint job or anything, but to that I say this is 20 bucks. I found it at Walmart. It's got great articulation. The detail is great. I love the reflective gold visor. It's the Master Chief. My only complaint is this pistol doesn't really sit in the shoulder and the leg very well, but besides that, this figure is awesome. I wish the green color it was a little more darker green, but you know what, I think it looks great, especially for the price point it is. I don't need to say anything else. Moving on. Alright, so the third worst is actually made by the same company. This is the Jazzwares Creeper, and as you can see, that's one of the many reasons why this figure kind of sucks. And as we can see, throughout the years, it has taken some battle scars because I am missing a leg, because it doesn't really stand still very well. I mean, it stood better when it had all of its feet, but still, the feet are kind of loose, and just the slightest movement just shattered that foot. And that's why I think it's one of the worst figures I ever bought. And you can't even display it like this because there's no feet detail on the back. And then you got the company right there. So, overall, just kind of very much a disappointing figure, unfortunately. Because the other Jazzwares Minecraft figures are actually pretty good. So, anyways, moving on. So, for second best, it's actually a three-way tie between my Inkling Figma figure, my Goblin Slayer Figma figure, and my Sunsetto Figma figure. All three of these figures hold a very special place in my heart. They're all from shows and games that I love. I love the Sunsetto figure. It was the first Figma figure ever bought, and I love it. I've had a couple issues with it, but very minor. The Goblin Slayer figure, awesome birthday present. It's a great figure. It's got great articulation, even with the armor, and it is overall. I just put you down, guys. Anyways, the Goblin Slayer has awesome articulation, great details, great armor. I love this thing. It's amazing. And the Inkling Figma, I love it. I've made many a video with it. It's got great articulation. I love the stances you can get in. My only complaint with it was the headphones. They broke off, and I just honestly didn't care enough to get another set. So, moving on to the second worst. This figure is so disappointing. I mean, I genuinely can't get it into a cool stance. This is the Halo 3 McFarlane Master Chief figure. This is the size of the rocket launcher. It's pathetic, and the front of it broke off the moment I got it out of the box. And this figure has no posability at all. It is one of the worst figures I own, which really sucks because Halo 3 is my favorite Halo game. And I think that's one of the reasons why I love the Halo Infinite stuff so much, is because it is basically Halo 3 again. And just the design of the figure is really weird. It's got funky legs. I mean, can't really get him into a good... you can't really get him in a good standing position. I just really disappointed. Moving on to my favorite figure of all time. This probably isn't going to blow anybody's mind, but my favorite figure that I own of all time is hands down the Sideshow Collectibles R2-D2. It looks amazing. I mean, it literally looks like I pulled it out of the screen. The detail is impeccable. The limited articulation is there and it's good. My only complaint is durability wise. It is not very durable, and I get it, it's a collector's item. The drink tray that came with it shattered, and I think I threw it away. And to me that doesn't really matter, because I'll never display an R2-D2 really like that, because I think that's dumb, especially something like this. Like, why would you display a $100 R2-D2 like that? I don't know. As we can see, over the years it has some battle scars on it. I know it's kind of hard to see, and I think the ankles are way too loose for my liking personally. But overall, I love this thing. It has been the icon of my channel, and I love this little thing to death. So, moving on to my #1 worst figure I own. This actually might shock a lot of you. Ironically enough, my least favorite figure is the Black Series R2-D2. This thing is so, this thing is so small. It doesn't feel like so. This is Darth Vader. Look how small R2-D2 is. He should come up to the waist. He's not that small. I mean, even to the Goblin Slayer wise, like that kind of Figma line. Like, to a Figma figure, it's actually scaled properly, but to the Black Series figures that it's supposed to be in scale with, it's not in scale. Get out of here, Darth Vader, you're a terrible figure. And so, it doesn't match well with the rest of its own figure line. The detail is okay. And yeah, it's got some opening doors. These things are so unbelievably easy to lose and just fall out by telling a bad joke. I mean, and they're barely held in there by friction. And just pray you don't lose any of them. And it's a pain to get them back in. And the reason is the look of it. I mean, let's compare it to the Sideshow real quick. One might say it's not fair, but I'm going to anyways. I mean, just look at that. This doesn't look right. I mean, even throw in the 3 3/4 inch scale R2. This looks far superior to this looks closer to the Sideshow than this little guy does. I mean, I don't know, maybe it just comes down to personal taste, but I've never cared for the design of this thing. And to me, what makes this thing ultimately worse is this stupid gimmick where you roll the head and have the third leg come out. That looks so ugly and disgusting to me. I mean, when has R2-D2's third leg ever looked like that? It's not even really what he looks like. That is what he looks like when he's driving. Who looked at this and approved this? This thing is just flat out terrible. And you want to know the worst part about this thing? I didn't buy it when it came out. You know where I bought it? eBay. You want to know how much I paid for this piece of junk? Too much. That is the answer. I am genuinely embarrassed if I say the price tag I paid for this. This isn't the worst R2-D2 I own. I own a worse one, which I will be destroying when I hit 500 subscribers. This thing is it's so disappointing, because it could have been awesome, and it just falls flat. Anyways, guys, that was my top 5 favorite and top 5 least favorite action figures or collectible figurines I own. If you guys enjoyed this video, say something in the comments below, and well, I can easily say I'm not done talking about some of my favorite toy collectibles. So next time I'll be covering my plushies, But in the meantime, I'll probably release something else. Anyways, guys, this is RT264. My amigos, peace, and have an amazing day.